Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth webinar of Reach Europe on transnational and virtual access opportunities, organized in the framework of Reach Europe. I am Daniele Gizzi, project coordinator. The event is organized in conjunction with Greenet, the NCP's project network from Cluster 5, Health NCPnet, the NCP's project network from Cluster 1, and NCP's for Industries, the NCP's project network from Cluster 4. Another special participation and collaboration that we have today is with the GRC, the Joint Research Center, that even if in a different way, they will present as some transnational access opportunities. Before to leave the floor to our distinguished speaker, just let me introduce very brief our webinar in deep. And to do that, I just show you a short presentation. Okay. Reach Europe is the NCP's project network of research infrastructure in Horizon Europe. One of our services is to promote among the researchers community the transnational and virtual access opportunities. But if you're not well aware about what are, just we are trying to explain better. What are we are talking about when we talk about transnational and virtual access? Transnational and virtual access mean the physical or virtual access to research infrastructure's premises for the researchers, both from Europe and from the third countries. The European project network financed in the framework of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe cover the cost of travel, accommodation, subsistence cost, and all the other costs related to the use of the premises of the research infrastructure that the research infrastructure makes available to the researchers. So laboratories, database, facilities, tools, etc. This is something so really interesting for the researchers because allow them to carry on their own research in the premises completely free of charge. Of course, how we promote these opportunities in two ways. The first one are the webinar like this one. Today, we selected 3 out of a larger number of TA-VUA opportunities to promote these 3 kind of access. But then we have also in the Reach Europe website a dedicated section, monthly update, where are proposed the opportunity, the transnational and virtual access opportunity. You can fine-tune the research through acronym, through domain research, status, is open, is closed, is forecast, and type of access, virtual or remote or physical. So explore our website. You invite you also to communicate, to spread on this tool that is free of charge. I repeat, it's free of charge. Because it's something really interesting that can reinforce and enhance and support your research domain. This is the today agenda, already anticipated. We have the special participation of GRC that they are going to present something a little bit different from transnational and virtual access as we thought, but is something strongly related to the mobility of the researchers. So it will be really interesting to listen Fabio Tusser, the Dr. Fabio Tusser, Deputy Head of Unit Science Development Program. And I really want to thank him to be here with us. And the floor is yours, Mr. Fabio. Thank you.
When we welcome new users to the GRC. It also allows us to enter into new key areas of research because when we welcome projects, many of these projects are often not in line with our current research work, so we can also welcome new ideas. And it allows us to maintain our scientific excellence, and very important, it is raising the value and the visibility of our labs. So how do we open access? Well, we do this through what we call a framework for access, and it is based on the Charter of Access to Research Infrastructures that was drafted by the GRTD. The framework contains the principles and the guidelines of defining the way we give access to our users. And we do this in two ways. The first way, which I will first start, which is the simpler one, is what we call the market-driven. And in the market-driven access, we give access mainly to industry and SMEs, but also to any kind of institution. And here, the users are charged the full costs of access. So you pay the full cost when you come to the GRC. And the selection of projects is made by the GRC alone. And when we give access in this way, the data is not disseminated via open access schemes because users are paying the full costs of access. But in a way, our main way of giving access is the first one, is the relevance-driven access, where we give access mainly to users from research institutions, from academia, also to SMEs, and the selection is based on open calls and by selection of an international selection committee, where we are basing our evaluation on the scientific implementation, the collaboration with the new users, also whether it is strategic or not to the GRC and to the European Commission, and as a whole to Europe. In this case, users are charged what we call the additional costs, which is sort of the overheads. It's a very low cost when you come to the GRC, and in fact, from some labs, access is free of charge. That is the case for nuclear and for labs where the costs are quite low. The only condition is that users have to pay for consumables. So here I would say is the only difference when you are accessing labs in the schemes offered by RTD. In RTD also pays for the consumables. In the case of the GRC, you have to pay for your consumables. We'll give more details on this in the next slides. And of course, since you're paying a low cost, then you are required to disseminate the data that is generated in the labs after an 18-month embargo period. And the 18 months are used for you to be the first ones to publish the data once it is produced. Eligibility, all member states are eligible. In the case of non-nuclear, also all the associated countries. And in the case of nuclear, only Ukraine as an associated country is eligible. Facilitating access. This is quite important because when you come to the GRC, there is travel and subsistence involved. So depending on the country where your institution is located, you may or may not have to pay for the travel and subsistence. So for users that are located in institutions that are located in countries from the list called widening participation and spreading excellence, you will not have to pay first the access costs to access the labs and carry out experiments, but also we will reimburse you the travel and subsistence. So you can see here what is the list of countries that are part of this widening list. Is basically most of the new member states in Eastern Europe, also most of the associated countries, and also the countries that you see in the Article 349 in the mostly the islands of Spain and France. In the case of nuclear, all users that are accessing nuclear labs, that is all member states and Ukraine, we will be reimbursing travel and subsistence to come to the GRC. Whereas, as I said before, for the non-nuclear, only the countries in this list, we will reimburse travel and subsistence. Concerning, again, the access cost, so what you pay to carry out experiments, nuclear is for free, and non-nuclear, if the countries are in the project proposal from these countries, you will not pay the access costs. Now, when we do the selection, after the selection, you will have to sign a research infrastructure access agreement. And this agreement is setting the rights and obligations between the JRC and the user institutions concerning health and safety, security, data protection, confidentiality, very important liability, and also the financial aspects. So how much you will be paying if you have to pay something to access our labs. Then there we also said what will be the in-kind contributions. So as I mentioned before, you will have to pay for consumables. So in the case of very large specimens that we have to, or you have to construct, you will have to pay for that. In the case of ELSA, which is a lab doing tests on earthquake resistance of buildings, you see the building on the right side, you will have to provide for that. So often it might be useful that the research institutions team up with SMEs or industry that may be able to pay for these large specimens. But for the low-cost consumables like cables, liquids, or anything that we use for the normal operations of our labs, in that case, we will be paying for those consumables. We have a dedicated portal at the EU Science Hub of the GRC where you will see all the information concerning the calls for open access. There you will see the number of access units that we will allocate to each call. The access unit can be days of access or could be instrument days. But what is important is that we will provide that information in the call, and we'll also give what is the cost for each access unit that we'll grant to the projects. By the way, the cost of the access unit will go down if the users are running the tests in our labs, which is possible for some of our labs that are in a way simpler to use or that don't have very extreme security concerns. At the end of your access, you will be required to publish a user access report, which will be then made public after 18 months. Here is the list of the labs that we are currently offering for access. On the left column are the labs in the ISPRA site. The first two ones are the European Laboratory for Structural Assessment, which, by the way, are offering access in the ARIES program that you showed, Daniele, in your very first slide. So there's the reaction wall for testing large-scale buildings and the hub lab for testing the impact on very small specimens, mainly from explosions or from impacts as well. We also have the Nanobiotechnology Lab that is also in ISPRA, and then the energy storage facilities in Petten in the Netherlands. The cost for accessing the reaction wall is around 30,000, 40,000 euros for each lab, depending on the number of access days. The same thing for Hub Lab. Whereas for the nanobiotechnology, the cost is actually very low, and because it's very low, it's for free. And regardless, by the way, of whether you're coming from Eastern Europe or any of the member states. The duration, by the way, also of the projects in the nanobiotechnology is between 1 to 2 weeks, maximum 1 month, whereas in the reaction wall and hub lab, the duration is about 1 year. Then you see on the two right columns, the nuclear labs located in Gel, Karlsruhe, and Petten. There are 11 labs. Again, access here is for free. I will not name all the labs, but you can see here, and I will share the presentation, what these labs can do in the area of nuclear security and safety. On the statistics, we have given access since 2017 to nearly 120 institutions in Europe, granting access to almost 600 users from 27 different countries. The country that has been most successful in accessing the GRC is Italy, followed by France and Germany. And our wish is that the countries on the bottom right can go towards the top left. That is, that we can receive more proposals from less represented countries. We also have another program, which is called Training and Capacity Building, because the first one that I presented was to carry out experiments, but there is also a program for training, and that is that we also have open calls where you can submit a proposal to be trained on a specific technical area. And we have been doing that for the European Laboratory for Structural Assessment, as well as for the Nanobiotechnology Lab. And in this case, you come for 1 week and you are trained in our labs on how to use our labs. And we are directing these calls mainly to institutions that are setting up labs similar to ours or that are running labs complementary to ours so they can know better how to operate or to upgrade their labs, but also to users that may not know what we can offer to them to run experiments. So they can come to the GRC, they know what we can do for them, and then in the future, they will be better prepared to forward proposals to the GRC. And again, here also access is free, completely free of charge. But for travel and subsistence, again, the conditions that I mentioned before will apply depending on where your institution is located. So the criteria is not on the nationality of the user, but it is on the location of where the institution is, depending on the list of the widening participation and spreading excellence countries. So this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them. So I will stop sharing.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed for your presentation. And I don't know, we have the Q&A section at the end of the other presentation. Perfect. If you won't stay with us longer, sure. I really thank you. So thank you. Okay, so I see how you can see in the agenda and also in the save the date, this webinar was organized in collaboration with GRC, but also with the other NCP's project networks such as Health NCP Net, NCP for Industries, and Greenet, because we used to select some during our webinar, we used to select some topics, some domain related more to cluster 1, cluster 4, cluster 5, cluster 3, in order to invite also the researcher from those domain to participate at this webinar, promoting the transnational access opportunities. So now is the moment of Dr. William Martin from Transvac, improving and accelerating vaccine development in Europe. Of course, transnational access related to the and with the interesting cluster 1. So the floor is yours, and thank you to be here.
Okay, thank you, Danielle and Fabio. I'm happy to have this chance to introduce the Transvac the Transvac program to everyone. And see now, are the slides showing up fine now? Okay, great, thanks. So I wanted to start with a short introduction on what Transvac is. So Transvac is a research infrastructure that was established according to need, both from surveys that we conducted, as well as other groups that found that within the European landscape, there is an urgent need for more support for vaccine developers in Europe. Now, because vaccine development, as you can imagine, is quite a complicated business. There's many different areas of expertise that are needed, and it's found that that different developers needed not only more support and funding, but also more access to expertise, technology, and infrastructure. And so for these reasons, we established the Transvac project. And so Transvac has 4 main focus areas. Today, I'm mostly talking about the transnational access services and a little bit on the trainings, although there's also internal joint research activities and other networking activities that's beyond our scope for today. So Transvac, there's been several different iterations of Transvac. It was first established as a consortium back in 2009 with 14 different partners. It had a more limited scope at this point, with a focus on providing access to adjuvants and formulation services, and also a number of animal studies. This was established as an EC project with 12 million euros in funding. Now that was followed up after a short interim period with the Transvac 2, which was expanded all the way to 26 partners and a bit more funding and a greatly expanded scope to include, also basically the entire vaccine development pipeline from the initial antigen expression project and screening different platforms, and then the structural biology, immunology, various different omics platforms, and production support through GLP and GMP, as well as regulatory support for transitioning from this preclinical to clinical study. Now that project ended last year, but today the Transvac Consortium still operates within the context of ECDORA, which is the super infrastructure of research infrastructures, which many of you may be familiar with from other contexts. So it has about 20 million euros in funding, but that is split between over 150 different partners, and it brings together many different research infrastructures. Now it is concluding early next year, but we are hopeful that there will eventually be an ECDORA 2 to preserve some of the work that was done, and so we can continue to offer services in the future. So I'll focus some here on the Transvac 2. So just shown here are the various different partner institutes in Transvac. Many of them are research universities or academics, but also some governmental research institutions and also private industry representatives. Almost all of them are also part of the ECDORA still. Now, and I'm focusing here on what kind of services we've supported in the past, especially from Transvac 2, since that's where we have the most representative data. So we funded about 57 different TNA projects, which have yielded a number of quite nice publications, and they've spanned many different pathogens. We supported projects that are attacking COVID and influenza especially, but also many other different pathogens of interest. And many of the users come from industry or research institutions, but we also were quite happy that we had a sizable number of users coming from SMEs and other private industry. And the requests that were needed by these users also span the whole range of the development platform, including many different technology platforms and animal models, as well as some of the immunology and the clinical trial support. Now, as I said today, the Transvac is one of many different research infrastructures within ECDORA. So we have 17 different research infrastructures that are included. And so this is trying to more unify the access process for the users, and to help navigate the different services that can be offered. We've developed a service catalog through the ECDORA website that you can view and explore. And we have these 9 main categories of services, which you see here, and they're quite diverse. And also, if there is something that you need that is not explicitly listed underneath the different areas, then you can also contact the access providers and to inquire, because we can often provide services even if they're not yet listed and add them to the catalog. Now, for Transvac, at this moment, we are only offering two main transnational access services. So these two are listed on the right. First is for vaccine adjuvant services through our partner, the Vaccine Formulation Institute, BFI, in Switzerland. So for formulation stability testing and such with many of the different adjuvants that they work with, as well as some others that are not listed here. And also through our partner IBET, who's a biotech located in Portugal, and we can offer some services for development and implementation of the analytical methods for the production of antigens and vaccines, especially those made through mammalian and insect platforms. So you can find more about these on the Transvac websites. And we're right now in the process of updating the webpage. So in the next, either today or tomorrow, we should have more information and the application going live. And this would be the final call for application, at least within the current ECDORA project. Now, one other thing I just wanted to mention is that EasyDoor is a two-pronged project. One is for response to critical needs and new epidemics. So we've had two calls, one for COVID and another for monkeypox, which have since been closed in response to those outbreaks. But then we also have several preparedness efforts. So this is calls for any projects that relate to risk group 4 pathogens, vector-borne pathogens, as well as respiratory and select others. And there's more information on the website about what all pathogens of interest are eligible underneath these different categories. And if you're interested in such calls, so as I said, we're opening the application on the Transfac page either today or tomorrow. So the EasyDoor consortium as a whole opens up the calls for the pathogens that are eligible, and then the applications go directly from the users to the research infrastructures such as Transfac. And then we evaluate those with help from our independent experts, and then the selected projects go to our partners. So in this case, BFI or IBET, and to provide these TNA services free of charge to the users. And these are open to users not only in Europe but anywhere else in the world right now. So that right now there's no geographic restrictions. So another item I wanted to touch on briefly before closing is that we also have some training opportunities that are currently opening up. Within the context of Transfac 2, we developed a suite of 14 different training modules, each one covering a different area of the vaccine development process. So these are very targeted trainings for people who need a particular skill for their project, as these are especially as the project advances from one stage to the next, where often the developers do not have all the expertise that they need. So this fulfilled a gap in the training landscape, and so within Transfac 2, this was quite successful. We had many hundreds of applications from all over the world, and a total of 50 different countries applied for the Transfac training programs, including a quarter of them were from low-income countries, and also we had a quarter coming from private companies, with most of the others being researchers. And these were highly reviewed, and we're quite happy with this. Now that the Transfac 2 project has ended, we're now in the process of continuing as an independent vaccinology training platform. We've updated our courses based on the experiences from Transfac 2, and right now we have some sponsorship that we're finalizing. So these will continue, as I said, as an independent training platform, open to anyone. And so I've summarized the courses here, as well as the approximate course schedule, but we're currently finalizing that. And so if you can stay tuned through our website, and you can also subscribe to the newsletter there if you'd like updates, and we'll post those hopefully in the next week or two with the final course content. So with that, I'd like to conclude and thank the organizers for this opportunity. And I'm happy to answer any questions later on.
Thank you very much indeed, because I think you provide very interesting information for all, especially for the health researchers connected now. But I also repeat, and I invite the national contact point present here today to spread among their community, to disseminate among their community also the link to the recorded video, in order to bring more and more researchers to know the opportunities offered from, in this case, from the Transvac project, but also from the other research infrastructure. Thank you again. I pass the floor now to Emerging Printed Electronics Research Infrastructure, Dr. Pedro Barquinha, if I well pronounced, Emerge Coordinator Team, a project more related, if we can say that, maybe more interest for the researcher from Cluster 4. The floor is yours, and thank you to be here.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to present Emerge to the community as well. So you can all see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me present you briefly these infrastructure, emerging printed electronics research infrastructure. So I'm coming from the coordination team at Uninova in Portugal. So Emerge is essentially built on the domain of flexible and printed electronics, which is, of course, a very important and expanding market nowadays. So there's a lot of very good arguments for the technology that are listed here as flexibility, lightweight, and thin, low-cost production, customization, just to name a few. I mean, the biggest let's say component on this market has been the display area, but as you see here in this plot, many other components are expanding and will be very relevant in the near future, particularly for sensors. So why is this flexible and printed electronics relevant? I point out here two dimensions. First, the electronic waste, which of course all of us know that there is a very big problem in our planet. So the statistics, some of the statistics are here, something like 44.7 million tons in 2016 and a very large increase foreseen for 2030. And in parallel, if we look to silicon CMOS technology, which is the core technology of microchips that we have these days, there's with continuous growth of demand of these chips, there's very big concerns also raised in terms of the environmental footprint and energy that is required to make all those things happen. And so flexible and printed electronics essentially appears here as a good opportunity to tackle all these things so we can make electronics with a much more sustainable materials and the concepts and approaches, as well as making electronic and photonic chips with a much lower environmental footprint. And so Emerge is a pioneer action in this field. So as far as we know, is the first research infrastructure devoted to this field that we call flexible large area printed electronics and photonics. And as you can see here in some in some examples here on this slide, there's multiple dimensions where you can have this kind of concepts working. I'll go into more detail later on when I present the different transnational activities that we have. But just to give you a glimpse of this, you can go all the way from device simulation up to complete platforms that you can use, for instance, for diagnostics. So our goal is to provide access to this infrastructure in Europe to more than 600 users through almost 300 projects. I can also show you, I'm not sure if the sound works in the video. Please let me know if there is a problem.
No, it's working slowly, but it's working.
Okay. So this just provides a glimpse of what the fundamental concept of eMERGE is, pretty much aligned with the transnational access activities that we've been hearing today here. So going into a bit more detail, what we are doing to make these real. So we divide these in three main activities. The first one is what we call networking activities. It's essentially preparing the users for this flexible and printed electronics area. So this includes training, mobility, and research secondments, also the branding of eMERGE and making sure that eMERGE can reach the community through LinkedIn, websites, and so on, and also developing what we call an innovative e-infrastructure for data and information management. So I'll show you a very quick example of these things right now. So as a single entry point to eMERGE infrastructure, we have this this website that is available. So it's the place where you can find not only all the information about the project, but you can submit your proposals to access to the infrastructure. We are also very worried about training the community for printed and flexible electronics, and a very good example is these eMERGE schools that we promote. We are in the second edition now, so the schools are including 1 week of webinars that in this case took place in April 24, and now in 2 weeks we will have 1 week of on-site training for 25 selected researchers from this first week of webinars, and they can make hands-on work in many different topics like screen printing, laser-induced graphene, printed ethers, nanogenerators, so all areas that are crucial to this topic. And then, as I mentioned, there's another networking activity, which is what we call this AI-powered knowledge repository. So the main idea on this is to create a very complete database where users can access to understand what would be the best conditions to run their experiments in the lab that are related with this. So a user can essentially search among categories of experiments, going from simulation to characterization of demonstrators. They get recommendations for a given experiment in terms of the parameters that they need to use. And then finally, they can also provide or view an overall rating of an experiment to understand if they really want to implement that in their lab or not. So that's one of the platforms that is being implemented in eMERGE as well. Then we have the transnational access activities. So as I mentioned, we cover a lot of different fields, and they are split in these four categories that you see here. We go from theory in terms of modeling, simulation, and design of materials, devices, and systems. Then we provide support to the materials synthesis and formulation, also for prototype fabrication, and also for the characterization of prototypes and demonstrators. So the competences of the partners are essentially split in all these four areas. Just for you to understand where we are at this stage, it's June 24. So at this moment, we had 11 calls. The 11th call is still running. There's 124 proposals that were submitted and 98 that were approved for implementation. Most users are coming from universities, but also very interesting numbers of users are coming from other kinds of institutions like SMEs and RTOs. A lot of users are interested definitely in prototype fabrication, which demands for bigger investment in equipment. So it makes sense that they want to access the infrastructure to gain access to that. And also very interesting, the maturity of the submitted projects can go from basic ideas to proof of concept, and the pretty large number of projects goes already into proof of concept, and there's already a quite reasonable gender balance in the users accessing the infrastructure. Finally, we have also other activities that are supporting eMERGE, which is what we call joint research activities. So in a nutshell, these are activities that are run inside the consortium by the partners within the consortium in different subtopics within printed and flexible electronics. And the idea is to improve the processes within the consortium and then take all this knowledge into the transnational access offers that we make available to users. So this is in a nutshell what you need to do to submit proposals, from registering in the website, and then there's application guidelines that explain all the details about the process. You submit your proposal. It's a one-page proposal, very simple. Then we have a technical liaison office that checks the project feasibility. If it's feasible, then it goes into external peer review evaluation, and if it passes through all the steps, then we go and help the user to design a work plan to access the emerge facilities, and then the user provides a feedback and the progress report to evaluate the experience. So all that is needed to do is really to access the emerge website and start the project from there, with a technical liaison office always ready to assist users in all the steps of the process. So thank you so much for your attention, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you again for your presentation, to be here with us. Yeah, we have the assessment survey for the participant, and then we have also 10-15 minutes if are there any questions or doubts. I give now the floor to Dr. Michael Bohern from AgroServe, Integrated Services Supporting a Sustainable Agroecological Transition. We label like cluster 5, probably is across 5 and 6, but anyway, we are, I think it's something interesting for both. So I give now the floor to Michael Boer, and again, thank you to be with us.
Just I have a problem. I'm unable to share my screen. I don't know why it asked for me.
Should be close on the right of the microphone of the mic.
I have. I do it share, but then it asks for the security parameters, which was. Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, now it's okay.
No.
Yes, now.
Okay, it was not my no. It's not my slides. Okay, this is not my slides. This is old slides.
These
are old slides. I don't know why it doesn't want to make it.
But now we are seeing project review.
No, but it's not the right slides. It's just a problem.
Okay. So okay. If you want, you can send to me by email.
I did it. Send it. Oh, you want? I can send it through the chat. Yes.
I've got it. If you want it, I can share it, and you can let me know.
Okay. Yeah. But how to stop the? I don't want stop share. I don't know how to stop share now. Okay. Thank you. This is the one. Okay, so if you can go, okay, thank you. Apologies for this technical problem, which is in my computer. So if I am Michel Boer, the coordinator of AgroServe, and maybe we can go to the previous slide, because this is the second. The next slide, please. Yes. So the reason of mission of AgroServe is really to introduce a sustainable agri-food system, because as you know, our food system is under risk because first of the climate change, of the management methods, of the biodiversity loss. And agriculture now, it's an emitter of greenhouse gases, and so there is an urgent need for a transition towards a sustainable food system, and also to the sustainability of rural communities. And this is in line with the One Health approach and with the Green Deal. Next slide, please. Okay, what is agroecology and what is AgroServe? So first, AgroServe's the transition to agroecology. Agroecology is a scientific practice for towards sustainable food systems. It's also a social problem, and finally, a political approach. Of course, in AgroServe, we address two first issues, so the scientific practices and the scientific research and societal approach. So the transition we need to include, of course, research for a sustainable food system. But if we want this research to go to the field or to go to the end product, we need to associate producers and consumers, which means addressing all the aspects of the agroecological transition, both scientific and social. Maybe we can go to the next slide. So AgroServe is a large infra-serve project which started already in April 2022. We have 11 pan-European research infrastructures, and as you can see on this helix, they go from MIRI and open screen that are the molecule and microbe level. Elixir is an e-infrastructure on data. LifeWatch is also an infrastructure on biodiversity. Then you have also Eurobioimaging. So for imaging, EMBRC is Marine Biological Resource Center. ANAE, it's ecosystem and experimentation and research. Emphasis, it's for crop. SmartCo is for animal research. MetroFood is metrology of food. IBISBA are biotechs, and LifeWatch I told already. And also we have social sciences services. So you see that it's a very wide offer because we need to have this interdisciplinary approach. And we have 73 different beneficiaries, and the coordination is made by ANAE Eric. And we feature 143 transnational and virtual services. And maybe we can go to the next slide. And we require, because we have this interdisciplinary requirement, we require the proposal should request services from at least 2 research infrastructures, which may be different partners. And the transdisciplinary approach, transdisciplinarity means that you not involve not only the academic researchers, but also the society. So it's really an open research approach. So we have 5 living labs, 3 in the Mediterranean region, in France, Portugal, and Italy, 1 in Central Europe, in Czechia, and 1 in Northern Europe, in Finland. And this, our approach is that in these living labs, will have farmers, industrial, working with researchers, and it's an open innovation, but this will feed the demand for for services in terms of research. And for the next call, we of course welcome proposals from non-academic partners. So you see that our services are very widespread in Europe. I think there are very few countries of the EU that are not providing services to AgroServe. And this has an advantage that we feature all climates, all agricultural practices, and it's also a multi-scale integrated offer of services. Okay, now we can go to the next slide. These are the domain of our services. So as I said, it's really from all biological sciences, environmental sciences, management, and also information sciences. We feature also a catalog which is really integrated. So in the same catalog, you have all infrastructures, and you can really choose a panel of services. On the next slide, please. Also, it's not online because we don't have data from users, but we will have a knowledge hub featuring made by Elixir infrastructures, where you have a fair cookbook, and we will share data in a findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable format. On the next slide. Okay, we issued our first call in, I think it was not May 2024, it was May 2023. Sorry for the typo. It was our first call, and we were a bit puzzled about, we did not know what was the demand for this type of services, but in fact, we ended in having 100 expression of interest. So we made a two-step call. Out of 70 were eligible. We have an eligibility step, and we ended with 38 proposals, and the result will be provided by end of this month. And we know that many proposals are of very high quality. We faced many challenges. First, many users had some difficulties to understand the requirement of two RIs and not two partners. So they made a confusion between what is a research infrastructure and what is a beneficiary or a partner in a proposal. So we will be clearer in our next call. Some proposals, also we had very interesting proposals. Unfortunately, it's a 5-year project and we cannot take proposals that are lasting more than 4 years. And of course, you have some business as usual that are out of the scope of the project, people trying to do their research, just labeling it agroecology. Some problems with ethical questionnaires and some difficulties to reach the manager of services. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Very soon we will have the second call, which is now it's a single step call because we want to speed up really the process. It took 1 year to have the results of the first call, and we want now to go to 3 months. So the next call will be issued next Thursday, actually. And with a webinar presenting the call on the 4th of July, so in 1 week. We plan what we will try to do also is to have practitioners participating to the call. So we will try to involve farmers really in this call, and we will make, of course, the rules better understandable. And in the future, we will issue call at a rate of 2 calls a year. So the call opens on the 27th of June and with a deadline on the 30th of September this year. Finally, some advertisements. So in addition to the webinar for the call, starting September, we will have a webinar series featuring both training and scientific lectures. We have also a stakeholder liaison event in Bari, which is October this year at the CRM, one of the beneficiaries. We will have a scientific conference called the European Research Services for Agroecology Conference, the ERSAC, which will take place in Lithuania in October 2025. And I think you just have to go to the agroserve.eu website and where you can get all the information, links to the catalog, and of course links to the call starting first day. Thank you very much, and I'm welcoming questions.
Thank you. Okay, I see a raised hand. Jagoda Petrovic. Okay, I think you can intervene directly if you have a questions. I see your hand raised. Okay, probably was a mistake. Okay, so again, wait a second. Okay, in the meantime, I want to really thank all the speakers today. I just take this moment to share with you the assessment survey, the short assessment survey that we prepare in order to evaluate our webinar, our methodology. So in case, please, if you have 2 minutes more, fill it out. You find it in chat. Okay, it's a bit long. Just I also invite the speaker to fill it out, so also to give us your opinion. Just some remarks. I think that all the presentation can be uploaded and shared with the wide public. Also, the recorded video will be uploaded in the open section of Reach Europe project, and also repeat, I invite the NCPs present today to share the information among their community. Don't know if are there any questions or doubts? Don't see so far. Chat. Okay, we have some remarks of appreciation. Our presentation were very clear and informative. Okay, thank you. Okay, probably the form is people are doing the form, so I think okay, I think we are perfectly in line. No, okay, there is a raise. Caterina Buonocore, please, you raised the hand.
Good morning. Good morning
Good
to
morning.
all the colleagues who presented from the JRC and the other research infrastructure. I am National Contact Point for Health, and I am the coordinator of the network called HNN 3.0. It is kind of twin network that has co-organized this event. And of course, I have to say I'm a bit sorry that we are not too many today, because this is, of course, one moment that many other NCPs and applicants could have joined, but it's always the same, I think, problem of overlapping of dates and seminars in many sectors. But I would like to take the opportunity to say, especially to Mr. Martin, that we would be very interested also in continuing the collaboration and inviting, if possible, this type of infrastructure to further workshop. One question that I have is, do you think that us, National Contact Point, could do more to promote your facilities, your services? What is your point of view on being on in your organization? Could we do something more? Is there a necessity that we could bring forward to applicants? Any insight?
Okay, yeah, thanks for the kind words, Katerina. And yes, definitely, I think that the national contact points, because it wasn't highlighted specifically in my presentation, but that's been a critical part of how the Transvac and Isidore has grown, because I think we rely on the national contact points. And I think that that's one thing that we have tried to incorporate more over the years. Maybe we can still do a better job of that, and we can, but I think we try to send the national contact points some toolkits and materials that they can then help disseminate, just to bring more awareness of the calls, both for TNA access and for training opportunities. So yes, definitely that is core, especially for some areas where we don't have so many, some many contacts ourselves. The national contact points is critical. So we'd love to talk to you more about that afterwards. If you.
Yeah, okay, even bilaterally. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
for someone else, some other comments, or I just put on the table possible point of reflection about forthcoming research infrastructure work program, because most of your projects were financed in the framework of research infrastructure work program. What do you expect from the next work program in term, if you have any idea or any wishes, if I can say that, on the aspect related to transnational virtual access in the next research infrastructure work program of Horizon Europe, if you have an idea or not?
It's difficult to say. It's a bit late for the next one. I understand that there is already a draft circulating, so it's difficult to answer. But yes, we rely. Research infrastructure, at least ERICS and landmarks for S3s. I cannot speak for others. Really, we critically depends to deliver services and to deliver services free of charge. We critically depend on Horizon Europe. So it's true that we need InfraServe course and also to prepare new services course like InfraDev and InfraTech. So we need to have that and maybe a better flexibility to prepare, because when you make an InfraServe, offer of services is frozen. So for 5 years, of course, we evolved our infrastructure. It's very difficult to make this offer. We do need an amendment and things like that. While we are preparing, so better flexibility also to prepare or to upgrade the offer of services, which is difficult to achieve now.
Thank you. Interesting. Fabio, Tosser, and then Pedro Miguel.
Yeah, I think this goes in line also with what Michelle said, that these projects have a duration, a short duration in time, about 3 years. And maybe one wish could be to have longer term projects where you create a network of labs under a common topic, and that this network can remain active for a longer time, because many of these labs are not part of the S3 roadmaps. Nevertheless, it's important that they collaborate. They offer transnational access, and they network for a time longer than that given by the indirect actions of RTD. Maybe also something that could be thought of is share financing between RTD and the labs, which may allow also RTD to give access for a longer time. Sorry, to fund these programs for a longer time. Because what I have seen in time is that they finance a topic for 3 years, then they finance another topic, and then that topic remains dormant for, say, 5 or 6 years until the next topic comes again in the calls.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pedro Miguel.
Yeah, just something which I honestly don't really know what's the capability of the European Commission to change, let's say. But one of the challenges that we have been facing in Emerge is in our case, the administrative burden. So it really depends from institution to institution. I've seen that some institutions are dealing with all this money to external users in a much easier way. For instance, in our case, the process is quite complex because our institution has to obey to some, given its nature, has to obey to some specific EU regulations that doesn't allow us, for instance, to put the money in the pocket of the users and spend it in a responsible way and so on. So there's a lot of paperwork involved on this. Again, I'm not sure what's the path for this, but I think it's something that the European Commission should be aware that for some institutions coordinating these projects, it's challenging. And then the second challenge, which I think that projects like yours are making a very are having a very important role to improve, is really to make sure that this reaches to a very big audience. So what we have been experiencing is that like I used to say, every time that we say the story about this research infrastructure project to anyone that is not aware, people think someone will be fooling me. It's too good to be true. I have access to this infrastructure free of charge. What's the catch? And there's actually no catch besides, providing your responsibilities in terms of a report and so on.
Yeah.
So I've been in touch with national contact points to further expand the knowledge about these networks to SMEs and so on. But I think there's still a big centralized work to be done in that respect.
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree. Also, maybe something, maybe just I think a project or a tender, I don't know, that just the aim is just to promote this kind of the opportunities, because it's something that is well known in a close, if I can say, community, but it's hard to, break the ceiling, the glass ceiling, to reach a broader audience. This is something that's true.
And if you allow me, there's a very curious
Please.
fact that I mean, of course, these are global initiatives, but the main focus is, if I understood correctly, is really to serve Europe, to make sure that Europe gains relevance in these areas. And we are getting a lot of applications outside Europe. So it's curious that we are reaching people outside Europe, but we are not reaching so effectively people inside Europe. It's very curious.
True. Okay, thank you very much indeed also for this very interesting, stimulating small debate. Just a remark about the assessment survey before I wrongly shared another link. So please, now you have in the chat the new one, fill it. Well, thank you again. We are 15 minutes more than expected, but I think the webinar was really interesting for us, for the participant, and I'm sure will be also interesting for the people that will be able to see it in a later stage. So thank you again to be here. Thank you also to the colleague from Ishi, Marina, and Laura that co-organized with me, with us, with APRE, the webinar. So thank you again, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.